Welcome back to the flight deck, everybody. We're cruising along at 19,000 feet. Everything is all set. As you can see, the airport's coming up, and so is our top of descent. So we're going to set up a couple things as we come in so that they are ready to go. We're going to be landing on the ILS runway 23, so we're going to set up that at the moment so we can be ready for that. So we're going to be on the VOR page here. ILS frequency is 109.9. So we'll put it in here, 109.9, hit enter, switch it over, and that is now the active on the VOR. We're also going to tune in on VOR2, the Auckland VOR. It's 114.8. 114.8. We'll enter that in and switch that over as well. So there's the two VORs. Now if we click on the left and right just above this panel, we'll be able to bring up the display of those VORs. As you can see, the VOR2 is already showing. Now one thing we have to do is enter in the course. Course for the runway is 231, and the way we're going to do that, as you can see here, is first of all we're going to sync our heading so that we're heading directly forward. We're now going to go into heading mode from LNAV. You can see that's now changed. We're then going to turn this dial from flight management, which is the computer, to VILS1, and that changes our mode over here and shows the ILS needle, and it's currently pointing on a course of 360. We want to change that to 231. So we'll grab our course knob, dial that around to 231. And there we go. And you can also see it says ILS number 1 and 109.9, which is the frequency we're going to want. We can now switch that back over to FM1. And we can go back into nav mode, and that will lock us back in on nav mode, but our ILS is set up and ready to go. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to be descending down to 3,000 feet for the intercept, but we're actually going to set up 4,000 feet because we're going to manually bring us around. As you can see, it's a rather tight turn. This airplane doesn't like doing the tight turn like that. It wants a more gradual increase or gradual intercept for the path. So we're going to fly manually in heading mode. We'll bring ourselves out and around, and then we'll do a more gradual intercept onto the localizer. Just one of the things that makes things a little bit easier for us. One other thing I have found is that to set up the VNAV path for the descent, I kind of have to click the VNAV button twice to get it to show the VNAV path, but we'll do that just as we get ready to come down. So we're going to tune in. Once we pass Holcomb, we're going to tune our or dial down our altitude from flight level 190 to flight level or 4,000 feet, and we'll get that dialed in. The other thing, you can see we're cruising here at 207 knots. We are in cruise power and everything is good. When we start down, the aircraft is going to want to accelerate. We don't really want it to get much above 200 knots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this over to manual select mode, and I'm going to turn this down to 200. And what that will be is that will be my indicator for where I want to keep my speed on the descent. And it'll be around idle. Sometimes I'll have to add a little bit of power, and sometimes I'll have to pull it off to keep that speed around 200 as we descend downwards. So we're getting closer here, so I'm going to increase ourselves into 40 miles here. You see our top of descent coming up at about 18 miles away. There are some restrictions. It does a fairly good job at hitting those restrictions on the VNAV path. There's the turn as we head in towards Davie. So as we go through the turn, we can now come over here, and we'll start dialing down to 4,000 feet. It's going to take a little while. So we want flight level 40. There we go. Flight level 40. So that's set. So once we get closer, we'll hit the VNAV path, and we'll get that set up. So we can finish our descent checks. Destination weather is currently showing winds at 250 at 16 knots. A bit of cloud in the area, and QNH of 1016. We're going to set in our arrival data, so that is all set. Our frequencies for the ALSs are done. We're going to set our Cat 1 minimums. It's 223 feet. So we're going to come down here. We're going to switch over to minimum descent altitude. We'll set 230 feet, so we round up for safety. And you'll notice how this is now flashing. That is because the other side is still set for decision height. We'll change that over. Flashing stops, now both are reading the same. Decision height would we use if we were going in on, say, a Cat 2 or a Cat 3 arrival. And I don't think this does Cat 3, so Cat 2. So that's arrival data is set, nav data matches and the expected star. Radios are set. We don't have to worry too much about that since we don't have ATC. Anti-ice not required. FCP is set up where you set up for 4,000 feet. Landing elevation is on automatic. We don't have to worry about that. Minimums we've now set to 230 feet. Missed approach, we're going to climb straight ahead on runway heading to 3,000 feet. And now it's just altimeters when we get down. So we're coming up on our point. So we're going to click that twice. You can see VNAV path has now come on. Our descent altitude is not moving since we haven't got to our top of descent yet, but we're showing our vertical deviation, our lateral deviation. And you see flight level 80, that's that first waypoint here, Davy, where it says we have to be above 8,000 feet. So that's our minimum restriction there. So we're just waiting now for it to kick in, and then we'll be starting downwards. There we go. Descent is commencing. And we're going to bring the throttles back, as mentioned, basically back to idle. We want just where it switches between green manual and orange idle. And we're just going to hover there. We'll adjust up and down as we go, just keeping it in that 200 knot airspeed. And you can see we're now descending. So we're going to switch over to our next waypoint now. There we go. And we'll begin our turn in as we commence our arrival on the start. So we're going to follow this down. 10,000 feet, lights will come on. And we'll put on the seatbelt sign in the back. 13,000 feet, we'll switch over the altimeters as that's transition level. And then I'm just going to play the throttle down, so we'll pick up again as we get closer to the ground. Alright, we're descending down through 7,000 feet now, and our speeds come back to 176. We got a few aircraft in front of us. They're look like they're coming in for landings as well. As mentioned, we're not flying the path that will take us up into this really sharp turn, because it just blows through the center line and then it weaves back and forth trying to line up. So we're going to come out a little bit more, and then we're going to turn inwards and try to intercept at a gentler angle. But we are slowing down. We're at 175, so we can go to first notch of flaps at 185. So we're going to do that now. There's flaps coming out. We're going to bring our speed down to about 170, and then we're going to hold. So this is going to bring us down to the initial 4,000 feet. We're just going to watch terrain since there are some hills around here. And it is a beautiful, there's some aircraft heading into the airport there. It's a beautiful sunset here in the North Island. And there's that one aircraft there I'm watching for. That's looking good. Actually, I think we can go all the way down to 3,000. So we're going to dial down to 3,000 now. There we go. Looking good. Don't have any other aircraft around us that are going to end up in front of us, so we should be good to come down. There's that terrain starting to come in, you can see. but we should be good at 3,000 feet. We're holding at about 165 knots or so. And that other aircraft, there he goes, heading inbound. So we're just going to hold this for another minute or two. Probably when we get to 4,000 feet, we'll then turn in on a left turn to intercept. So what we can now do, since we're not running on the FM1 system anymore, the flight management system, we're going to go over to our ILS one, which we've already got tuned in, and it's now picking up the localizer and everything there. So that is looking good. There's 4,000 feet coming up. Alright, so as we descend through 4,000 feet, we'll start our turn and we'll bring it around for the intercept. And we're going to watch that speed. We're not going to try to get her below 160. Just kind of hold it here. Want about a 270 degree intercept will do. Let's see, it's coming around. And we're coming up to 3,000 feet, so we're going to increase our power a little bit. And as we roll level, we will now arm approach mode. Glide slope localizer are armed. Level at 3,000 feet. And there we are turning in. Nice, smoother arrival. That would be seeking all over the place if you come in at too sharp an angle. There's the airport ahead of us on the edge of the water there. And even if that, 40 degrees there, it was probably the limit of where you want to bring her in. So we're on approach. ILS VOR frequencies are set. Power management, we're going to set to takeoff in case we have to do a go around. Flaps, we're doing good. 150 is where we will bring it down. We'll do that when we're about one notch above. The glide slope is alive. And at one notch again, we will go to gear down. Go around altitude is already set, 3,000 feet. We're going to center our heading, and that's our heading we're going to take off when we head out. It will be 231 degrees. So let's just get that lined up. There we go, in case we need it. So the big thing for this is watching the glide slope. I find it does have a tendency to drop below the glide slope sometimes. We are looking good at the moment. All right, so there's one notch above, so we're going gear down. Induce drag. There we go. Speed starting to come back. We're below 150 knots now. Speed starting to drop down. Flaps full. Flaps set for landing. So again, I usually set slightly high on my little bug here for reference. So we're going to set that down to about 111. We want a landing speed of about 107. So that's going to be my target. And there's a glide slope. You can see her drop down kind of severely. We'll start bringing the power back slowly. And bring that speed down. can see we're already below the glide slope there. We'll keep it up about 127 until we're just a couple miles out. And of course we'll be ready to take over if we need to. Looks like FSLTL's put another aircraft around us. There it is there. So I am just going to remove them. You can see it bringing us under the glide slope there. Again, not sure why it does that. Four miles out, we'll take over and we'll just adjust. 6.5 miles out now. Beautiful evening coming into Auckland here. It's not too bad on the glide slope. I've seen it get a lot worse. Still seem to be showing 2 reds, 2 whites. 6 miles. There we go. 4 reds, so we're getting low. We're going to take over now. And again, there's no auto throttles on this thing, so we've got to manually do it. So we're going to manually fly her in now. We'll try to get her up a bit so we can get those white lights again. Speed will start to come back. We're looking good. There's 3 and 1. Can work with that. A little bit of trim adjustments. Again, slow aircraft takes a lot longer to do this than it does in the jets. So we got somebody coming in getting ready to go. Hopefully they wait for us. So once we're down and the nose is down, we will go into reverse. We only need 3,000 feet of the 11,000 feet we have here, so there's no rush. We'll get her down, get the nose down. Winds are almost directly ahead. We'll see how it plays out when we get a little bit closer to the ground. So there's our speed getting a little bit low. We're down to 109. So we're 3 and 1 now. And is he moving out? Yeah, he's moving out. So we're going to go in here and tell him to go away. Nicely lined up now. I think you went away. Let me just do one last check. There we go. It's a problem with FSLTL. They're on their own schedule. Alright, so speed's 117. I'm going to ease the power back. Let her start to come back now. We're getting close to the ground. There's 2 whites, 2 reds. We're looking good. I'm going to keep that speed. Just let her start to bleed now. Wind slightly from the right, but not too bad. Just 117.
Approaching minimum.
Engines to idle. 114.
200. Minimum.
Landing.
Minimum.
It's 107.
100.
107. 106.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
That's us down. There's the nose down. There we are, planted. We can now go reversers. It's going to brake us hard. There's 60 knots. Reversers off. And we can exit here. Takes a second for the reversers to kick off. But there we go. We're down to 20 knot ground speed as we exit. Welcome to Auckland. So we'll come to a stop once we cross the line, and we'll do our cleanup. And we're going to be parking at the domestic terminal. Alright, so there's the brakes. So brake set, so we're going to go flaps up. Come down here, we're going to turn off the transponder. That is under surveillance. There's a transponder. Transponder goes to standby. It will be the same on this side. It's already set. That's fine. TCAS can go to standby as well. That's on standby on both sides. And we can go back to comm. So we'll come up top. Landing lights will come off. Strobe lights will come off. We'll throw the logo light on as we taxi in. Beacon and nav and wing lights are on. Taxi light can come on. Anti-ice, if we didn't have it on, it would go off at this point. Trim reset. Trim reset is fine where it is. Pitot heats can come off. And we're good. At this point, you would bring the engine 1 down, condition lever back to let her start to cool down, and then 30 seconds after that, you would shut her down while you taxied in. But like I said before, the aircraft gets a little bit awkward to handle, so we're not going to be doing that today, because as I said, don't want to be struggling with it as we go. So we'll come up here, sun's setting behind the terminal. We're going to head over. Let's see if we can find where we're going to park. Alright, so it's going to be over at the right end. So we're just going to come out here and then we'll turn in. Looks like Qatar is getting ready to leave. Traffic provided by FSLTL. Sometimes a little bit of power is needed to keep the roll going. I'm going to turn in here. This is Bravo 5. I'm going to taxi in on the apron down to the east end. So as you can see, there's a few little quirks with the airplane, a few little things that we could improve on the glide slope, and that a few things I have to improve on, my rotation on takeoff. But it's a good aircraft and it's a lot of fun, and I think it will do well in the tour that it's going to be flying in. So I'm looking forward to breaking it out for that, and we get to see it in all its glory as we tour around. A little bit quick. But we're going to go down here where all these other ATRs are. Let's just pop out, see if we can find a place to park. Yeah, I think we'll just go into 35 here. There we go, and we will kill the taxi light. And we are going to bring it in. It wants us to spin around. Let's see if this will work. There we go, something like that. As we watch the Qatari go by. Very nice. Alright, inside we go. Looks like a 777. We'll pop back over here. So we're going to get the parking brake on. Parking brake is now set. And we are going to get them to hook up the chocks and the ground power before we do anything, or else we're going to lose power to the aircraft. So external power will now come on. And we'll shut down the airplane. So we're going to bring the condition levers back to FTR. You can hear the engine start to come down. And generally it's after 30 seconds you would shut them down. We're not going to wait that long. We'll let them wind back. There we go. So we can shut them down and complete the post procedure. So there's engine number 2 and engine number 1. So we're going to shut it down completely since we're on ground power. You could put on the prop brake on number 2. Once it's in the FTR mode, it'll lock the prop, and then you could use it as an engine if you're in a place that does not have ground power. Alright, so beacon light can come off, nav light, wing lights are all off. Oh, Beach 18 pulling in. Gonna open up the doors in the back. Clear that. So engine are both shut down. Throttles are both back at idle. Gust lock will go on. We'll come up here. We'll turn off the fuel pumps. Oxygen will come off. Hydraulics can come off as well. And they want the flight directors off, but that's okay. We can leave it. Oh, it's in factory livery. And that's basically the aircraft shut down. So we'll stand here at the entry to the cockpit. It's a bit noisy outside. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've learned a little bit about the ATR. I know I have over several flights over the past few weeks. Getting used to the airplane, getting ready for the new tour coming up. If you have any questions, you can come over to the Discord. Links are in the description below. Always willing to help out people to new aircrafts and who are new to the sim itself. Thanks for watching. Please remember like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's a big help. Trying to get to that 700 viewers by the end of the summer. And we will see you in the skies. Bye for now.